All right, Chad, you are all good to go.
All right, perfect. Well, welcome everybody. I say it every week, but I really do mean it. It is a good day when it is a red carpet day. So it's going to be a little meta, a little bit of an inception of red carpet. We have a Zoom room within a Zoom room within our volunteer behind me. So it's going to be pretty fun. So I have the pleasure of introducing Nikki with Nosh. She is then going to be introducing the founder of Nosh, Gladeson. He's also on the call. Gladeson, give us a wave if you see us. So we're going to have two people speak today, but one, we're very excited to have them. If you've had a chance to meet Nikki, whether it's on a red carpet call or a connect at lunch or anything like that, she is just wonderful, and we're very excited to have such a great local presence, especially with the services they do, and they're going to talk all about that. So I really hope you guys enjoy their presentation. But let me kind of tell you a little bit about Nikki. Nikki is from Cincinnati, Ohio. She graduated high school there, and then she has made her way to Colorado, and she's actually lived here for the last 21 years. So she's one of us. We'll count her as a native. Nikki's mother and father are from Boston. Her mom is Italian. So Larry, you and me, we should really like Nikki because we're all Italians. And her father is Irish. She has two sisters, and this is Nikki's words, not mine. She is the middle child, and of course, that comes with all sorts of complexities. So again, that is Nikki's words, not mine, but we'll have to see if that's true. Her husband's name is Tony, and they have been married for 12 years, so congratulations. Very exciting stuff there. They have three wonderful kids. Brooke, a 10-year-old, Anthony, an 8-year-old, and Cash, a 5-year-old. So a lot of fun ages there. Asked Nikki how she got started in her field, and her answer was her and her husband Tony, they co-own a handful of restaurants called Deepy Dough. If you haven't been there, please show them some love. It's delicious. And through their restaurant connections, she was introduced to Nosh when the founders came to Fort Collins to start a local third-party delivery option in a new market. So I'll kind of leave it at that. Nikki and Gladeson will kind of tell us a little bit more about that in a second. When Nikki is not on red carpet or working the Nosh scene or meeting with restaurant owners, her hobbies are hiking, running, weightlifting, paddleboarding, decorating, and of course, shopping. So it's a little harder to do these days, but I think we all like to shop. What is something not a lot of people know about Nikki, but really should, is she is terrified of clusters of things. Doesn't matter if it's snakes or spiders, but puppies are okay. She's okay if it's puppies. And she's also spent the last 2 summers living in Africa. So very, very, very exciting. I asked Nikki if she could relive any day in her life, what it would be and why. And she said, well, the birth of my kids. She said, that's a pretty amazing and miraculous experience. I don't know if you want to relive the pain. You had 3 kids, but I could imagine, going through that is just got to be fantastic. So with all that stuff, though, let's kind of turn it over to Nikki. So as usual, give everybody, put up your red carpet spirit fingers, and let's give Nikki a warm welcome.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. So welcome to this red carpet event where I'm really excited to have everybody on here. Looks like we have quite a lot of people. I'm excited to tell you about Nosh and to introduce you to the founder of Nosh, Gladeson. So those of you that don't know about Nosh, we are a third-party local delivery service. So we deliver for 200 plus restaurants in Northern Colorado. We're owned by local restaurants, which is really cool. 40 of the most iconic restaurants in Northern Colorado put their money on our company to sort of, get back at the big companies, Grubhub, DoorDash, Postmates, that we'll go into more detail about this, and Gladeson will too, but they charge a big commission rate to the restaurants, and it really impacts their profit margins. So our concept was to be locally owned by restaurants, and we would set a more sustainable commission rate for the restaurants to help them sort of navigate hard times, especially right now. So we are in Loveland, Fort Collins, and Greeley, and we are obviously doing very well during this time right now. People are ordering at home because it's safer, and I will turn this over to Clayton. He will give the backstory on how Nosh got started in Fort Collins, and where the company's headed and where we're at right now. So Clayton.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So, yeah, I'll try to give the short story or short version of a long story. So it was this in the summer of 2017. I used to be a restaurant operator in Iowa City, Iowa, and we used to have a service there, food delivery service called Order Up, which was here as well, as you know, or might remember. And we got a letter, the restaurants got a letter from Grubhub that summer stating that Grubhub had purchased Order Up, and effective in 2 weeks, our commission rates, charged of the restaurants the commission was going to double from 15 to 30%. And then they also said that they had fired the local staff running the operations because Grubhub does everything from its headquarters in Chicago. So then we had all of a sudden two big problems. One was, 15% was a fair price to charge, and having the staff run the local operations was really good for the restaurants because we had a contact, in case we needed anything or something went wrong and we needed help. So, we were concerned with the sustainability, the long-term sustainability of food delivery for us independent restaurants, because, we knew that customer behavior was going in that direction even back then. So 20 of the most iconic restaurants in town, all independents, got together in a room, and then we proposed this idea of, creating our own local food delivery service that would be not only locally owned, but would be collectively owned by the restaurants, instead of an outside corporation that's just making money out of the restaurants. So, and then everybody in the room liked the idea. We all pinched in a little bit of money, and 6 weeks later, we had it open for business. And it was called Chomp, CHOMP, delivery. And we started in October of 2017. We only had 20 restaurants at the time on the platform. And Grubhub started at the same time. They inherited all the Order Up accounts, and they had a little over 120. But you fast forward 8 months after we launched, Grubhub went from 120 restaurants plus to about a little over 60. And we went from 20 to 130 plus. And that's because, we were charging, of course, half what they were charging the restaurants. But people in the community really liked and could relate to that David versus Goliath idea of the small guys bending together to fight the corporate giant, or the greed, corporate giant. And we also had quite a bit of press that came out of that experience, and a lot of which was local, but some of which was national. So we started getting calls from restaurant owners in other parts of the country asking us, they would tell us, we're getting killed by Grubhub and DoorDash over here. Is there any way you can help us set up a similar type of service that's owned by us, the local restaurants? So, because when we created Chomp, we never thought of it as anything other than that service in Iowa City. We didn't even know it was going to work, right? In order to bring it to other communities, we would have to scale the model and create some form of a system to be able to not only bring it elsewhere, but also recruit all the investors, recruit restaurants to be on the platform, and then hire the local staff, which is important for our model, launch the service, grow it, and etc. And because it's collectively owned by restaurant owners, most of which are already working 60 or 70 hours a week, we couldn't ask them, they wouldn't want or be able to have yet another business or more staff to manage. So we created this, when we scaled the model, we created this back office that would do all of that and bring the service into a new market and recruit the restaurants and the staff and the drivers, and et cetera, grow it. And then eventually, work with the local staff to make sure that everything is working accordingly. And then Northern Colorado was the first market that we went into as the Nosh brand, then, which was this scaled version of the model. And we came here in May of last year, and we had a very similar type of community response. I think people really liked the idea of an alternative that's economically sustainable for the restaurants. We also focused a lot on customer service, right? Because the other the large food delivery services right now are much more interested or focused on gaining as much market share as possible, because they know that in the end, it's going to be a winner takes most, and we're going to see a lot more mergers and acquisitions between these large companies. And then, because they're more interested in that, and because customer service is so important in the restaurant industry, our take to food delivery is that, I always say, we are restaurant owners doing food delivery. We're not a software company doing food delivery, which of course, nothing against software companies. We rely on it as well. But there's several large issues in the way food delivery is done nowadays with third-party, in the third-party industry. One of them is they have taken away from the restaurant any control over the process. And there's all sorts of problems that it has caused to the restaurants. So we came here in May of last year, and we now have, Nikki knows better than I do. I might inflate the numbers a little bit, but I think we have maybe 210 or 15 restaurants on the platform in the 3 markets. We have a little over 50,000 or around 50,000 customers that have registered and made at least one order. And we have delivered 210,000 orders in 18 months. So we've been very fortunate to be, to have the community support us in such a strong way. And I think one of the things, the pandemic has, of course, hurt a lot of business. The restaurants are struggling a lot. One of the things that I think we felt really good about was when the pandemic first hit, or the mandates came from the state to shut down the communities, we were able to, I think, you also know better, Nikki, but I think, one of the things we were able to do is hire a lot of, I think we hired, was it 60 or close to 60 restaurant employees who were suddenly let go because, the restaurants closed. we were able to hire 60 of them to drive with us. So that was really a really good thing that we were able to do to help the restaurant and also the community. And then we also, I don't even know how we did it, Nikki, but I think it's about the same number of restaurants, 60 or 70 new restaurants we brought onto the platform in 3 weeks, which is usually a very laborious process because we have to build their menus and make sure that they are built correctly. And then, just like we ended up in Fort Collins because of a restaurant connection that, like I said in the beginning, and then most recently, we had some restaurant owners from Boulder also reach out to us and ask if we could help them set up a Nosh operation there. And we started there on Thursday. So, and these are separate entities. They're actually separate businesses. So Nosh here in Northern Colorado has its own set of restaurant owners. We have about 40 that collectively own the service. They bought a share or one or more, or units actually, because we're an LLC. And then in Boulder, that's a separate LLC with its separate set of restaurant investors. You have to be a restaurant to buy into. And then we also have there's a parent company that sets up these new markets and is ultimately responsible for the success of these markets. And then the last thing is, we do Nikki does the heavy lifting of the day-to-day operations. And then we have a board of directors formed of 9 of these restaurant owners, the investors, that meet monthly to just go over, the business and make the bigger decision making on behalf of the restaurants. Does that make sense? Is that good, Nikki? Did I miss anything important?
Oh, I'd just like to touch on, everybody we're a small company, like Clayton said, and some of us, he's in the parent company and he's in Iowa, and the group of us that are here locally, we've either worked in restaurants, owned restaurants. We've all, we know how the inner workings of restaurants work, and what sort of the people that own restaurants deal with on a day-to-day basis. So it's really been a great experience working with Nosh and working with all these restaurant owners, especially during this pandemic. I think some are really struggling, and to see them get through this and to see Nosh help them get through this has been a really cool experience. Another thing, like Clayton mentioned, is we have a board of directors. There's 9 people on the board, and very influential, business-minded people, and that typically compete in a market. Their restaurants compete against each other, but they have come together and really sort of bonded and networked, and we've created this great third-party delivery system with them, with their expertise, and they've become friends. They've shared business experiences. They've helped grow each other's businesses, and so I just love the sense of community that Nosh brings to the restaurants. It's been a really cool experience for all of us. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Kim, I wasn't watching the chat too closely. Do we have some questions in there? And then a quick reminder to everybody else, please put questions in that chat if you want any clarification or have any questions for Nosh.
Yeah, we do have several questions. Nate from Foothills was wondering, how many drivers does Nosh have today in Northern Colorado?
So right now we have, I think it's 140 active drivers that are driving. So we have independent contractors, and they kind of come and go as they please. The gig economy is a really big thing right now. People are really enjoying working in the gig economy because they can work a full-time job and have this as a side hustle, or work this. We have some retirees that work this for a month and then they would travel. This was pre-pandemic, or spend time with their families and their grandkids or whatever. So we have people that kind of jump in and out and drive for us, but we have about 130 steady drivers between the 3 cities, 200 total that have signed contracts with us. And we're actually doing a mass hiring right now because we're getting busy again. So our sales were sort of a little flat over the summer, but they're headed up for sure with the surge of the cases. And so we're bringing on more drivers and employing more people, which is really great.
And kind of right along that, what are the requirements to drive for Nosh?
So you have to have a valid driver's license, valid insurance. You can't have had more than 3 tickets in the last 3 years. We do closely monitor background checks and whatnot for felonies and things like that. So that's pretty much it for the most part.
Okay. Deb with Service Master asked, does Nosh only service restaurants that are investors?
No. So you can be on the platform. You don't have to be an investor. The rate varies based on if you are an investor or not an investor, and if you're exclusive or not exclusive, meaning if you're on with Grubhub or DoorDash or any of the other companies, or just on with us. So so anybody's welcome to be on the platform. And if you know anybody that's a restaurant owner that is interested, we'd love to talk to them. Or if you are a restaurant owner, I'd love to talk to you. So
how do you keep the food warm?
We have warming decks drivers.
Okay. So the food will be hot when it gets there. How does the Nosh fundraising work?
So we do have a budget for fundraising, and we will do various events. So sometimes we'll donate 10% of our sales to a business or a nonprofit or a company that reaches out to us and wants to partner up for fundraising. Gladson, do you have any more? Kat usually runs most of that.
Yeah, no, most of the time we have organizations that reach out to us and then we do our internal analysis and look at who they are and what they represent, and if that's something that we in our restaurants align with, and then we'll do that will be the organization that we're fundraising for during that month. And it's we always choose something that's local, that's right here.
Perfect. Another question is, Lindy, maybe you can expand on this. It says, how did you guys connect? Who are you talking about, Lindy?
Oh, I'm just talking about the 2 of them. Like, how did this whole idea come together?
It's because of and also how we ended up in Northern Colorado, but it was through Nikki's husband, Tony, who owns the Dippy Doughs, and then that's how we came to Fort Collins first. And the first time we came here was in October of 2018, and we just had talked to maybe 5 restaurant owners over a couple of drinks at a sports bar here in town, and then we told them what we did in Iowa City. And at the end of the talk, we asked the restaurants if they thought that model would work here, and they all said it would work really well. And people are in Fort Collins are very attuned to supporting local and to doing things that are community based and oriented. So then we asked that we said we could come back, and we asked that they all brought at least another owner with them to the next meeting. So we came back 3 weeks later, and then talked to maybe a dozen people, and 200 people later, 200 restaurant owners later, we started.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
A couple other questions. What towns do you serve? So I heard Loveland, Greeley, and Fort Collins. Do you serve Windsor, Wellington, all those other little ones?
So am I muted? No. We are eyeing Windsor in the spring potentially. But Wellington, so currently our restaurants are set up, most of them have a delivery radius of 5 or 6 miles so that we don't compromise the food quality. And so it just depends on where they're located. And Wellington's probably a little too far. It might get some Mary's Mountain Cookies or some others that deliver a little further. But that we don't have any restaurants in Wellington currently.
Okay. Oh, perfect. You did that. Okay. Do you deliver margaritas from the Rio specifically? That's one of the questions.
Call your governor, please, or your legislature on our behalf.
Yeah, we get that question a lot. We can't currently deliver as a third party company, unfortunately. It's just legally it's not set up that way. But like Clayton said, reach out to your governing body and see if they'll help with that.
All right, Red
Yeah.
Carpet, you heard her. If you want margaritas, to your door. We're banding together. We're doing that now.
Let me see if I missed any other ones. Do you have any measures to control food tampering?
We don't currently have anything in place for that. We rely on the restaurants. Well, sorry, we don't have, no, we rely on the restaurants to seal their bags if they can right now during the pandemic. And then the drivers are instructed to take the food and put it in the warming bag and then drop it off at the customer's house with a mask on. So
Okay. Okay.
that's
Perfect.
current.
Yeah, I think, we have been very fortunate, I think, because even though we were only able to hire, a couple hundred or so hires, we've had probably 2,500 applications or more now.
Wow.
And now we get, our drivers really enjoy working with us because we do things differently. For one, we don't, most companies in the gig economy treat gig economy employees or workforce as disposable of sorts, right? So if you don't want the job, there's somebody else. We try to do it differently, and we try to foster a really good relationship with our drivers. And even though they're not employees, we still meet with every one of them prior to having them start drive for us or with us, because we want to explain to them the project, and we want to explain what it is that we're doing and how we do it, and how we can only achieve our promise of customer service excellence with them. And, it doesn't seem that it's that hard to treat people with decency and just give them the respect that they all deserve. But that has made a big difference for us, because the drivers then feel connected and they feel like they want to be a part of this project. And we're always also communicating with them, and we're asking them for feedback, and we are listening to them. We're very transparent with how we pay. As you may have seen in the news that other companies got caught stealing tips from the drivers. And then we also, because we have local staff and we have met all of them, we can track, so if you call us and say there's a problem with my order, then we'll apologize and make it right for you and offer to do a redelivery or a refund or whatever. But we're also going to go after it to make sure and see where the problem was, right? So we'll contact the restaurant and ask them how that order was made, and the customer complained that it was whatever happened. And then we'll also talk to the driver. And then, if it's something that the driver did wrong, we tell the drivers from the get-go, right? That our promise is customer service excellence. And, we can only accomplish that if we can do it together. So if a driver falls short of that, then we reserve the right to not schedule them anymore. It's not perfect, right? But I think it's worked pretty well so far.
Perfect. A couple more questions. I'm assuming someone would apply to be a driver on your website? Is that how they would? Okay. And will you guys put that in the chat?
Yeah. Yes, I will do that right now. And actually, if there's anyone on this call that wants to drive for us, I put my email on here. Honestly, just go straight to me and email me. We have so many applications, it takes forever to get through them. So if you're interested in driving, just reach out to me and I'm happy to accommodate.
Yeah. Or if you have staff that you had to let go because of the state of affairs of the world, we always like to, just like we were able to support our restaurants by hiring their staff back in April and May, if we can help other businesses and people in the community, that would be great.
Perfect. What about people that are gluten-free? And are there places that will deliver 24 hours?
So I know one totally gluten-free restaurant on our platform, and that's Elementary. It's the same owner that owns Tasty Harmony. And there's a couple others. Most of the restaurants on their menu, they'll list if things are gluten-free, a gluten-free option. You'll be able to see it. And I think most restaurants have gluten-free options available everywhere. So, and what was the other question?
24 hours. Are there any places that deliver 24 hours?
There are not currently. Nosh is only open from 7 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. In Fort Collins right now. But DP Do's open till 3 a.m.
There you go. And then one last question. What are the benefits of driving for Nosh over, say, the other delivery services, Grubhub, Postmates? I've never heard of that one, etc. So.
Yeah, so I think what our drivers love about driving for us is, and how we're different is, those companies are really big companies. They're sort of faceless. They hire people without ever meeting them or talking to them. They fill out an application, they send them a bag. They really don't know if they look like a serial killer or anything. They don't know anything about them. And I meet the drivers, I hand them bags, I talk to them about Nosh. I talk to them over the phone. I take care of my drivers. I talk to them. They all have my phone number. They text me. I have a relationship with them. They enjoy sort of the dispatchers as well. Our dispatchers are in a live chat with them while they drive, and they can ask them questions, and they have built relationships with them. So I think they really feel they can do the gig work that they want to enjoy and be self-employed and be their own boss, but also have a company that stands by them and appreciates them and knows about them and what their lives are about. I think that's why our drivers like driving for Nosh as opposed to the big companies.
And then the last question that I see here that I might have missed is the pay for drivers a flat fee or is it a percentage?
So our drivers are paid based on delivery fees and tips. So it's really important to tip your drivers. The delivery fees are going to be based off of how far the customer is from the restaurant. So it's we charge the customer $2.99 as a base delivery fee, and then it's 50 cents per additional mile from the restaurant. And then there's an option for tip too. So most of our drivers make, I would say, $8 to $10 per delivery. And typically can take 2 deliveries an hour. So they're making somewhere between $16 and $20 an hour. And honestly, when the pandemic hit and everything shut down, our drivers were making really great money. They were making $30 an hour. It was insane, especially after that stimulus kicked in. It was crazy. So we were really excited for them. It's come down a bit, but it was a good money making time for sure.
Wonderful. And there are several testimonials in the chat. So we use Noco Nash on a weekly basis. Fantastic service, great variety of food. We downloaded the Nosh app months ago, deleted Grubhub and Postmates and haven't looked back. Love it. Nikki, you are so sincere and warm. Glad to know that you are a part of our community. So great testimonials in the chat if you guys do have a chance to look at them. And does anybody else have any other questions? And you can unmute yourself and just talk if you'd like.
I just had a quick question. I was wondering, do your drivers get to keep their tips or do you pool your tips and share them?
They get to keep their tips.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
And there's an option too on Nosh on some of the restaurants that you can tip your restaurant to. It's up to the restaurant to sort of set that up through us. But, you know, like Music City Hot Chicken, some other ones, they give an option to tip the restaurant employees too, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Any other questions for these guys?
I did have a quick question. A problem that I kind of have with other delivery services is I'll place an order and food will wait like 10, 15, 20 minutes before it ends up getting delivered. Do you guys have any systems that kind of alter that kind of help prevent things like that?
Yeah, do you mind if I answer just?
No, go
quickly?
ahead. Please.
No, I think, so what I tell people is food delivery is a very complex machine that even when very well oiled, might still fail. So we try as best to control for as many of the different parts and components of the system, but we can't always control everything, right? For example, if a restaurant puts the wrong food in the bag, then the drivers are not allowed, right? This would be would be a violation of health codes. They can't look in the bag to see if the order is correct. Or in the case of your example, sometimes out of nowhere, we have a rush and it's a large rush, and we don't do like the other companies that flood the market with as many drivers as possible. We come up with what we believe is the right amount of drivers for that time, so that we don't have a lot of drivers sitting and not making any money. And if we do have drivers sitting and not making any money, we actually pay them a floor pay of $12 an hour so that they don't walk home making nothing when it's no fault of their own. It's just because we were not busy. But what we ask our restaurants that I think is a differential is, you know, if something happened and you made the food and it's been sitting there for longer than you would be comfortable giving it to a customer, then we ask the restaurants to remake it. Of course, we don't want that to happen, right? Because we don't want to waste food, particularly in a time when so many people are suffering with food scarcity. But we tell them, you know, if you're not comfortable with it the way it stands, please remake the order and we're going to pay you twice for it. Then, because at the end of the day, we always want to take care of the customer. You know, that's what has made us successful, I think, is people know that although we're not perfect, we might make mistakes, but when we do, as long as we know about it, if you contact us, we'll find a way to make it right for you.
Thank you.
I see one more question in the chat and then we're past time, but do your drivers get to take an order or reject an order, or are they just given the order?
So as independent contractors, they have the right to decline an order, and we have to remove it. So yes, it does happen, and it does get rejected. We've got dispatchers that move it or put it back in the AI, and the AI, the artificial intelligence, assigns it to somebody else.
Very good. Well, thank you guys. We are actually over time, but thank you both so much. Everyone, let's give these guys a big round of red carpet welcome.
And then I do have one last announcement that I want everybody to know about. So keep an eye in your inbox. So Nosh is so gracious. They are going to send you a special coupon code, so everyone can test this out and get a little bit of money off that first order. So you'll be getting that email from me probably in the next 25 minutes. So if you're hungry for lunch, might as well save some money. Use that little coupon code that Nosh has given us. But again, very, very happy we had Nosh on. Very, very happy to have such a good turnout with this red carpet. It's always good to see everybody. So without further ado, let's give Noco Nosh our warm red carpet thank you.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you all for joining us today. We will have one more before Thanksgiving break on Thursday. We'll actually be discussing what we're going to do this year for our red carpet holiday party. So we'd love to have you all join us via Zoom Thursday at 9 a.m. And until then, enjoy the sunshine. It looks great out there, and we will see you then. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.